side by side as friends, harvesting crops for the betterment of man. Sister to brother, time to stand up tall. Brother to sister, we can share it all. We've got to be an example so the little ones don't fall. They're the pioneers of tomorrow with a universal call. They ride the wings of time, developing their minds, reaching into inner space, new discoveries they must face. It's time to take a stand. You hold the keys in your hand. Ooh, we all embrace with love and understanding for the whole human race. Brother to brother, we got to live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Sister to brother, we
all right, and a special good evening to you and everybody out there, and welcome to another edition of the Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, Eating Healthy with Sandi, right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. It is 2 minutes after 5 o'clock. We're going to go over to the studio line with our co-host, our host this evening of the show, Miss Sandi Morais. Sandi, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great, Louis. How are you?
We are doing fantastic. It's a beautiful Saturday evening, bright and sunny. Still looking great on the outside. How is the weather and things where you are in Central Florida?
Yes, it's very sunny and beautiful over here. I'm broadcasting from Orlando. Wow.
Awesome.
It is absolutely a fabulous day today.
Yes, and a good day to feel young and look young. Isn't it a good day to feel young, look young, just like our guests on the show this evening?
Yes, our guest, Miss Annette Larkins. We're so excited to have her on the show this evening to share some information with our listeners. You know, I heard about Annette Larkins 20 years ago.
Is that so?
Imagine that, 20 years ago. So for me, it's very exciting that we have her today as our guest. And I just cannot wait for her to come on the air and just start talking about all the things that Annette is doing to keep her looking so young. She is 78 years old, and
yes,
she looks like she's 40.
Yes, I'm telling you, I cannot believe the picture that I see of this lovely lady that is going to be part of our program this evening, and it's just a pleasure to have her. And Miss Annette Larkins is she's 78 years young. For 44 years, she have been a raw foodist. Oh, I love it. Miss Annette Larkin was born in North Carolina, but currently lives in sunny Miami, Florida, with her husband, Amos Larkins, and they have been married for over 62 years. Now, that's a milestone also as well. So maybe that's one of the secret as well. Stay married, right? And she have two sons. Annette was a professional jazz singer and also a teacher as well. Annette believes she have found the fountain of youth because of a raw food lifestyle. We want to take the time to welcome Miss Annette Larkins to our studio and to our network this evening. Miss Annette, welcome and good evening to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so very much for having me. I am really excited about this interview.
Amen. We are excited as well, and our listeners been calling and checking in, and they are so excited to hear from you and also to hear some of the good things that you have done in your life to be able to look so beautiful, young, and energized.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment.
Welcome to CRR Network, Annette. I am so happy to have you on the show. And I must say, the flyer that I sent out to some of the people, they are so amazed. They just cannot believe that you look like that at this age. So we are so excited for you to talk about your lifestyle. And I'm going to get right to the point. You know, Annette, in a lot of the shows that you have been in over the years, you mentioned that you found the fountain of youth. Today's show topic is aging younger. And you stated in many of your interviews that you found the fountain of youth. Can you explain to our listeners how you found the fountain of youth? Because so many people out there are searching to find the fountain of youth. So talk to us about that.
Well, you know, Ponce de Leon said that he had found the fountain of youth in St. Augustine back, what was that, 1513, whatever. And so I guess there are different fountains of youth, but one has to find their own, and my fountain of youth began in 1963 when I became a vegetarian. That was how many years ago? 57 years, I believe. And
Yes.
it began with that. That was the first step that I took in changing my lifestyle. And I think that's what it's about for me, is lifestyle. And not everybody is going to do the same thing. I think people have to search for themselves. And actually, it was inadvertently that I came across, that my life changed like that, because it had nothing to do with health originally, even though my family's health certainly was not in the best interest. My mother died at 47 of breast cancer. Her mother died at 36 of breast cancer. My grandmother's sisters all died very young. The same thing, breast cancer. So had I not made a change, then certainly I would have continued on that path, because they say that genetics load the gun, but it's up to the individual to pull the trigger. And I'm so happy that I chose not to pull that trigger. Originally, it happened to me, as I said, it began with the absence of meat from my diet. One afternoon, Saturday afternoon in 1963, I was overlooking in my sink the thawing of pork chops. And of course, hog was king in my family. My mother tried to feed me everything the hog had to offer except a squeal, and I think she tried to get that in sometimes. So I was throwing these chops, and for some reason, all of a sudden, I looked down at them, and I saw them entirely different than I had ever seen them before. How that came about, I do not know. But I began to abhor the look of them, the smell of them. And I just decided I do not want to taste these things again. It was like I had an epiphany, and an epiphany that changed my life. That was the beginning. It's interesting that my husband was a butcher when I became a vegetarian, and I sat down after 2 weeks of not eating any animal flesh and told him that I had not had any meat in 2 weeks, and that I never would again. I thought that I would never eat meat again, because the taste was, I just did not want it. And he looked at me and said, "Honey, what's the matter? You think you need to see a doctor?" He thought I had gone absolutely insane. Well, his expression, I fell to the floor. We were sitting in the dining room area. I absolutely fell to the floor because of his reaction. But it was, that's the way it was. We both thought that I had loved meat. This is all we knew. So that was it. So what's wrong with you? I understood, of course, when I picked myself up off the floor. I understood his reaction. But, that was the way it went. So that started it out. Now, what happened, it had nothing to do, as I said, with health originally, but my lifestyle changed. The eventuality was it, of course, and it went in phases. Everything didn't happen at once. The next step that I took did have to do with health, because I'm a bibliophile. That's a lover of books, and so it's such a reason that I would come across some material that would lead me further onto that path. The next step, having read about the deficiencies of the white stuff, white sugar, white flour, all of that kind of stuff, I decided that I was going to abandon that. So I gave up the white stuff, the white sugar, white flour, white rice, and all of that. And so that was my next step. And then I moved on as time passed. I moved on and abstained from the dairy products because it's mucousy, causes mucus and all of that stuff. And so I gave those things up. And so that was where I was in the vegetarian realm. But, it's funny because people would ask, so what do you eat? And my reply to that is, listen, the world is composed of animals, vegetables, and minerals. I have only excluded 1/3 of the world's composition from my diet. So, but they could not understand, and I understood them because, listen, I had been there. When you've been there and done that, you understand, okay? So I understood their surprise, their dismay, if everyone's going to be all right, because the first thing people want to know is, what about protein? Well, you get protein through nuts and seeds and legumes and all of that. I mean, people overeat protein, quite frankly. So, that was not a problem for me. Now, I noticed after having given up the meat, how I went into the next realm was because I noticed that how I felt. There was a difference in the way that I felt. I felt better. I felt good. I felt lighter. I did not get sleepy after a big, meal that I would have. And these things changed. I had more energy. My energy level increased. And I'm going to tell you something. My mental state was heightened. I felt more enlightened. I felt that I was able to take on things more quickly, solve problems faster. Now, people might think that's something that was in my head. Well, okay, how many things are in our heads? So, but the food made a difference when I changed my eating habits and started eating differently. And so that is why I went into the next realm. And then after the giving up the dairy products and all of that, then eventually I came across some material that talked about raw food. And I went, what? Raw? Come on, please. I mean, I'm not eating any meat. I'm not eating any dairy products. I'm not eating white sugar, white flour, all of the refined stuff that is bad for you. I'm not eating any of that. You talk about raw? Is this for real? So that was something that came into my head. But I filed that away for future reference because I was not ready for it. And when I did become ready to try it, after a while, it kept coming back to me. That's what happened because it made sense to me. But of course, we sometimes it's difficult for us to change our habits. And once I thought about it and thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. Well, initially it was not a good thing for me because I went I think about a week because I was trying to actually sustain myself on salads alone. And of course there's more to eating raw than just salads. And I had to stop and think about it because my my palate said, girl, you have got to put some zeal in this raw deal. And so I had to change things. And what I did was I started to experiment and play around with foods. And although it's better to take an apple and eat it just from the tree, how many of us are going to do that continuously and think that's all we're going to do? So, I started playing with the foods and doing different things. And that led me into eventually doing what I created, the Annette's Raw Kitchen, which shows people how to prepare delicious, mouth-watering, non-cooked foods. And so, it's and you make the foods look good because first you grab them visually, and then they've got to taste good. And people love. I've had people come to my house for interviews and try to eat me out, because they love the food. So it can be good, and you can make a difference in the change. But I say this: I don't tell people to go where I am necessarily. You find your own way, but you can live differently. I think people want what I have, and I say that it's the fruitfulness of youth and the wisdom of age. I don't think you get to be 78. Well, you shouldn't get to be 78 and not have some wisdom. But I still have that fruitfulness about me because my family thinks that I'm worse than the energized battery because I move swiftly, succinctly, however, but I'm always on the go. So,
Did your husband ever fell on the floor like you did?
Huh?
Did your husband ever fell on the floor like you did with all these changes?
Well, my husband, let me tell you what my husband did. He, as I said, initially he was shocked, surprised, and just baffled. You know, like I said, he didn't say this, but I think he really wanted to send me to the funny farm because he thought I'd lost it. But especially with him being a butcher, you know, and I think that may have been one of the things because I would go in and see those half cows hanging up in the cold storage, and
yes.
You know, that just and so that was not aesthetically appealing to me, nor was it appetizing to think about I'm going to eat some of that, you know. But the thing is that my husband, he respects me greatly. And he always tells me, people tell me I'm your number one fan. No, my husband says no. I'm your number one fan, and he really supports me and acts
That's
like that.
awesome.
So when I explained to him what was going on with me, he took it and he went with it, you know, and he has been forever. I mean, since that time. If you've seen any interviews with him, he says that he wishes that he had done what I've done.
Well, on that note, Annette, talking about your husband, he did not, from what I've read, and the interviews that you have done, he did not follow in the footsteps that you went in as a raw foodist. He continued to eat what he was eating. Tell us about that situation. You guys are living in the same household, preparing different meals. How challenging was that?
Well, I tell you this, it wasn't challenging at all, because the thing is that I made up my mind that I was going to do it. So come hell, high water, I was going to do what I was going to do. Now, I continued to cook two separate meals. I could cook. My children were 2 and 3 years old at the time, and of course, my husband. I felt like, they can put on my epithet that it was her endeavor to be fair. So I didn't think it would be fair of me to subject my family to an idea that I had seemingly suddenly come upon. Although in retrospect, I realized it didn't happen suddenly, just like that. My individual composition dictated that it would culminate for me where it is, but I had no way of knowing that at the time. But I continued to cook 2 separate meals for them, and for us rather. I cooked one for them and one for me. Now, they tried everything that I cooked for myself. They would try it, and so they were able to eat meatless meals, which I had not been able to do previously, because let me tell you, if I didn't have a meal that had meat in it, then it wasn't a meal to me. So of course I understand people's way of thinking, like that. But it was not difficult, because you see, there's a difference in being abhorred by the taste, touch, smell of dead animal flesh than doing it for health reasons. And as I stated earlier, it was not for health reasons that I did it, you see. So there was a difference. And so my husband, after 18 years of my vegetarianism, he became a vegetarian, and he sustained for 6 years. And then one day, his excuse was, because he was a businessman and would go out, and of course they did not have the salad bars that they have at this time. They didn't have them then, and so he eventually ended up going back into that realm where he had initially been. He started out with fish. He said that when he would go with business people, they would all be eating. And see what happened, though, is that he was enticed by the food, where I was not. I had no desire to have it, where he did. So, but again, to answer your original question, there was no there was no problem at all, because I just did what I had to do to sustain with my family. I did what I wanted. I gave them what they wanted, and I had what I wanted. And at the time, of course, I had no real nutritional knowledge when I began. So I continued to give my children, the same things that they had previously, and my husband, I cooked for him as well, so that was it. But there were no problems.
There was no problem. Okay, great. Annette, we're going to take a station break, and I'm going to come back. And when we come back, I want to talk to you about your home, because you live in the Garden of Eden, and we want to talk about some of the foods that you grow. You grow your own food. So we're going to come back, take a station break, and we will be right back with Annette Larkins.
We hope hold these truths to be self-evident. We hold these truths. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Brother to brother, working side by side as friends, harvesting crops for the betterment of man. Sister to brother, time to stand up tall. Brother to sister, we can share it all.
All right. And you are listening to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. It is 5:21 right here. Keep it locked in. As we continue right here, you are listening to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Keep it locked in right here as we continue with more of Eating Healthy with Sandi right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network.
You are listening to Eating Healthy with Sandi Morais and Louis Witter on CRR Network, sponsored by VeganTuneUpCafe.com with music by Phillip Michael Thomas. Check out my Vegan Recipe for Life cookbook. Recipes made with real food, divine dishes, super soups, and tantalizing treats. A gift just for you.
All right, and welcome back. We are, if you're just joining us, we are talking to Miss Annette Larkins. She is 78, look like 35, very young and energized. She started for over 44 years. She have been a raw foodist, and of course, she is talking to us today how she found the fountain of youth. We're back with Miss Sandi Morais. Sandi?
Yes, I'm right here. Before we took the station break, Annette, I was just talking about how your home looks just like the Garden of Eden. I know you grow your own food. Talk to us about the types of food that you grow.
Well, actually, it's interesting. I had sent you, I did the time. The one thing that I cannot, I'm on top of a lot of things, Sandi, but time is not one of them because time goes too quickly. I mean, that's 5 o'clock got here before you know it. I just thought about it. I said, my God, she can talk. I'm talking about me because I heard Louis say 21 after, right? So I'm going, good heavens, where did that time go? Oh, she talked it out. But I do. I have in my third booklet what I was going to tell you is I sent you so that you could see some of the stuff that I did. I sent you, but not realizing that the time had come. So I said, oh, they're probably getting ready for the show. I neglected to do it earlier, so I sent you a thing, and I was telling you too that on that it was a PBS. Presentation that I did, a local PBS presentation that I did called the Health Alternatives with Living Foods. And it has me, I was going to tell you that I did Phillip does your theme song. Well, I sang the theme song for that show, but you'll get that later on. You'll see it later on. It was too late for you to see it now. But anyway, as far as the Garden of Eden, I call it the Garden of Eating. And I have a section in that third booklet, the download, that talks about gardening, and that's how I entitled it, The Garden of Eden, Eating. I grow whatever. I mean, cabbages, cabbage red and green, and all kinds of things, chard and spinach. And in the summertime, greens don't like the heat. And so in the summertime, you can't grow regular spinach, but there's a, what's that called, New Zealand spinach that's very hardy, and you can grow that. So I grow those kinds of things. I grow ginger and just all kinds of things, but, whatever is healthy. But I want the audience and you to understand that I do not grow all of my food. I grow much of it. The outdoor stuff, when I'm at my peak here of growing, I do that. But otherwise, I get things from Whole Food. I will get things. I try to get organic, but I'm not totally organic all the time. I mean, I would like to be, but I'm not. And when I get something that is not organic, I will wash it with soda water. Baking soda. I put that and consume it rather than over processing it or cooking it to death, because you cook out, you bother the enzymes and all of those things that I mentioned earlier, the carbohydrate with the vitamins and minerals and all that stuff. It affects it. So I just tell people, listen, eat as much raw as you can, because I get people sometimes in cold countries saying, well, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. Listen, you eat hot soup, whatever, but just include as much raw as you can in your diet. So, and answer to your original question about what kinds of foods, I grow all kinds of things. It doesn't matter.
Talking about that, I have to share this with you, Annette. My co-host, Louis, got his first taste of raw food a few weeks ago. Talk to Annette about your experience, Louis.
Congratulations, Louis.
Thank you Thank you so much. I was so excited, and I'm totally blown away when I ate the first piece raw food, which was chocho. Chocho.
Coyote, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it blows me away, and that's the best thing happened to me. I am a diabetic person, and it's the best thing happened to me in the last couple of months since this COVID thing going on, and now I'm adding to it. I just start another one, which is I went out and I bought some okra today, and the beetroot, I also added that to it. And so I am just really excited to start these things, and I'm really just listening to you without even saying anything, because I'm totally sold.
Yes, let me ask you this, Louis. You mentioned okra. Have you ever have you had fried okra? Do you like fried okra?
Yes, I have had fried okra before. Was not too much into it. I've always we grew up using okra in like steamed fish. When we steam the fish, that's how I use my okra in the fish as well, but pretty much that way. But no, I don't like it fried, no.
Well, okay, but many people do, and I was one of them who loved fried okra. And I thought, well, okay, when I went raw, I said, well, I'll never have okra again because it has that slime, right?
Yes.
And I said, I'll never have that again because I refuse to eat it like that. Well, let me tell you, of course, you get things in your head. As I said, I do think with clarity most of the time, for sure. And, I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do this. So I decided that I was going to bread it and do it a certain way, and I put some liquid aminos on it, and to give it that so that the thing that I put, whatever I put on the meal, and let it catch, let it hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I did that, and guess what? I dried it out in the dehydrator, and so now instead of fried okra, when I want okra like that, I have dried okra. And let me tell you this, the very first person who did a big story on me in our local Miami Herald, Behinds, she came to the house with her photographer and all of that. And let me tell you this, she tried to eat up all the okra because she loved it. She was one of these people who, unlike Louis, loves fried okra. Well, the dried okra, she couldn't get over it, the fact that it tastes so good. So, you can recreate in this realm. I always welcome people to the kingdom of living foods, live and raw, where live is king, raw is queen, and I am a willing and loyal subject. Because let me tell you, you can recreate, and now I'm not going to say it tastes the same, but it tastes good. So, it doesn't have to taste the same as long as it tastes good, right?
Right,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Annette, what we're going to do right now, we're going to take another short station break, and we're going to come back. And when we come back, I want to talk to you about an experience that you had, a crisis in your life, and I want you to share that story with our listeners. So we will be right back. We're speaking with Annette Larkin. She's 78 years old, and she looks like she is 40. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Eating Healthy with Sandi Morais and Louis Witter on CRR Network, sponsored by VeganTuneUpCafe.com, with music by Phillip Michael Thomas. Check out my Vegan Recipe for Life cookbook. Recipes made with real food, divine dishes, super soups, and tantalizing treats. A gift just for you.
All right. And of course, you can also get ready to call. We're going to open the phone line on this segment of the show. The phone number is 407-342-4296. You can call in and you can ask any questions in regards to this interview with Miss Annette Larkins. And of course, you can also text us. Miss Sandy, you have that text number?
Yes, you can text at 786-797-1728. 786-797-1728. And we're talking to Annette Larkins. And before we went for the station break, I told you I wanted to talk to you about a crisis that you had in your life when you were 77 years old, which I think was last year. And I wanted to ask you if you would be open to share this with our listeners.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to be brief about this because they can go to either my website, AnnetteLarkins.com, and go to the media, and they will videos. They will see it. There it says Annette's Ordeal. On YouTube, it says Annette's Dreadful Ordeal at 77. I'm going to be brief about this because they can go and listen to all the things that happened with me. But this was outside of me, and I'm going to leave a little mystery here when I talk about it because I won't tell you what happened to me, but it was outside of me. And I tell you this, it was absolutely dreadful. It was something that happened, and life is filled with uncertainties, and you never know what's going to happen. But I tell you this, I was just fraught with, pain. I had such pain, and I don't know. Yeah, I'll tell you that what it is it turns out that situation that occurred. It turned out that my blood was infected. So now a diagnostician told me, a natural diagnostician told me that had I not lived the way that I lived, had I chosen to pull that trigger of which I spoke earlier, I would probably not be alive. She said it probably would have killed me had I not been living the lifestyle I lived. So I'm very grateful that I did change my lifestyle because it made a great difference in my recovery. Now, my recovery was with herbs, and I had always believed in the power of herbs for decades, I should say. But then I experienced the real, it was a thrill to experience the benefits that herbs can give you. So that's what happened. But I'm telling you, I get in 18,000 steps a day, the exercise. I was getting in at that time when all of this happened to me, it stopped. I could not walk 5,000 steps a week. It was really, it was terrible, but it changed at that time. But listen, I just tell people, watch the video and then you'll see what happened to me. And let me just say this, that at the end of it, I say, I'm back in action, Jackson. Hey, listen, I can run up and down my spiral staircase again. I have resumed my formal activities, and I can dance again.
Awesome.
Isn't that great?
Explain to us, Annette, how does exercise play a role in your lifestyle?
Well, I think that exercise is very important. We must exercise not only our bodies, but we must exercise our minds as well as our bodies, because that old cliche, if you don't use it, you lose it, it's so true. And so it's important that we do exercise our minds. But as physical exercise, my exercise regimen consists of walking. Like I said, I have resumed. I get in 18,000 steps a day. But prior to, I would be, I don't know, climbing the wall if I didn't get in my 18,000 steps. Now, I just make sure that I get in the 10,000 that is recommended, and as much as I can, I get in the, because I'm doing a lot of stuff too at the computer and all that, so I get in as much as I can of the 18,000. But if I don't get in 18,000, that is my goal, to get in 18,000 every day. But if I don't get that in, I don't, have an extra fit or anything because of it. But that, along with dancing, comprises the majority of what exercise I do. And, I mean, like, again, I'm up and down the star staircase constantly, and doing the dancing and the steps and all of that. So that's exercise. So what I tell people, exercise, of course, is very important, but find something that you like doing, because if you have to stop it and then re-establish it, you find something you like, because that way there's no problem getting back into it if you like it. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Remember, the phone lines are open. If you want to ask Annette Larkins a question, 407-342-4296. You can text 786-797-1728. And I have a text question for you, Annette. And the person is asking if you could give an example of days eating, like, I guess, how you eat for one day.
Okay, listen, I have in that third booklet, The Journey to Health 3, I have in there, spend 7 days with Annette, and that gives you a daily of what I eat daily. See, let me tell you this. Breakfast is breaking the fast, okay, from the day before you eat anything, or when you eat something. That means that you're breaking the fast, because when you're sleeping and all that, you don't eat, so you are fasting, actually. So I don't break my fast, and I don't advise this for everybody. Listen, I just tell you what I do, okay? I don't advise this for everybody, because this was a development for me. It evolved into this. I don't break my fast before 12 o'clock noon as a rule. Occasionally, I'm not following that, because if I feel the need, feel the desire, then I will have something solid, that is to say. Now I'll have some juice, or drink water or whatever. But solid food, I don't generally break it until, say, 12 o'clock noon. But then I will have something, might have juice then, and then I'll have a salad or whatever meets my fancy, because, I don't go about this thing, but you got to have certain things for breakfast and certain. It doesn't matter to me. I don't eat by the clock, and I eat with mood. I eat by mood. And just to answer that question, I'll have maybe a salad, or one of the things I always try to get in are greens, and I have some nuts, a handful of nuts, and I know about food combining, but I don't always follow the rules of food combining. So I will mix nuts with maybe some dates, So I've got that sweet thing there with the protein, because the nuts are protein, And so I might have that if I desire to. But I'm going to tell you this: the way that I eat, it does not bother me as far as. I don't know if I should go into this, but hey, we're adults. I don't have foul-smelling odors, okay? Flatulence, I'll use a good term, okay? Flatulence. I don't have those foul-smelling odors, because, and even though I am mixed, even though I am not doing food combining properly, I still don't get that, and perhaps it has something to do with the fact that I am plant-based, that might have to do with that. But I might have a nut burger, and sometimes, let me tell you this about my eating habits. Sometimes I will have one meal a day. Sometimes I will have two, and sometimes I will have three. Again, it depends on my mood, and sometimes I might not eat anything, So again, I try to do intuitive eating, when my body tells me that it needs food.
And is there any particular nuts that you would recommend that you eat mostly?
All kinds of nuts. I like walnuts, pecans, almonds. I like all kinds of nuts. And again, I kind of go by moods. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big mood person, So
right.
I try to, let's say, when I talk about moods, I try not to be moody in my behavior as far as with other people and stuff like that. But I am that way with my lifestyle as far as, when I eat or what I eat.
Excellent. I have another question here for you, Annette. This young lady's asking if you can explain a little of the baking soda water wash that you use for your fruits when you buy them conventional.
Okay. What you do is you can just put, like if you want to put it in a sink or a bowl, depending on what you have to wash, and you just put I have never measured the amount. I just go by the eye, of how much I think is good to put in, and then what I will do, put a reasonable amount of baking soda in the water. But you see, then when you put it in the water, you're gonna slosh it around and but make sure that it stays for about 5 minutes, whether you're sloshing it or not. You slosh it some, but make sure it stays for about 5 minutes. And it has been said that will help that kind of food.
Oh, excellent. The next question I have that just came in is, do you juice, and what kind of juice do you do on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, I do carrot
or green juices.
Green juices? Well, green juices, I like cucumber juice. And I will juice things like, I'll put kale and different things, different kinds of green leafy vegetables into the drink. And I do wheatgrass juice. Let me tell you this, one ounce of wheatgrass will be probably about a pound of your whatever green it is that you have. And I will put broccoli in the, because I do the broccoli, the microgreens, I do that. And so I will put the broccoli. So different things. And again, I keep saying this, but this is what it is. My mood. It depends on what mood I have. So that I might, what I do today or for a week or so, I may not be doing next week. You know what I'm saying? So I don't always. Somebody told me, oh, I thought you drink wheatgrass every day. Well, sometimes I do, but then I don't. So, that's about it. So I drink all kinds of juices, but the green drinks, like I said, that is composed of different greens,
And you put the microgreens as well in with your leafy greens when you're making your green juice?
Oh, sure, yeah. But you see, I juice, and everybody doesn't have a Norwalk for sure. I'm going to tell you this. You can juice centrifugally. You can juice in a centrifugal juicer, but understand that I can keep my juices longer with doing it with the Norwalk, because that's a twofold process where you break it down to its finest component on one side, and then you you use the pressing to in a bag. You got it in a bag, in a food bag, and then you use on one side you put that folded bag on the side where the hydraulic press is, and press out the juices. I was telling you, Sandy, that's how I do my noni. I use my noni, but I don't put it on the side where you break it down to its finest component. I just put it in, broken up, I put it in the bag and just juice it out on that side. So yeah, but I don't use the centrifugal. I will use it. I mean, I would use it, but I don't use it. I have all kinds of juices. Listen, they call me the gadget guru because I have all kinds of juicers. Okay, but I don't juice with the centrifugal force, because what I was going to say is you can't keep that. You should drink that when you do it, because it breaks down. It oxidizes and it spoils faster. You know what I mean?
Yes. So you sprout and you do the microgreens as part of the foods that you grow, and wheatgrass. Is that correct? So those are part of the foods that you grow as well. And you talk about the microgreens and how powerful the microgreens are. As a matter of fact, we had Dr. Latham that was on the show a couple weeks ago, and he did talk about the power of the microgreens as well. And you actually just mentioned that the microgreens are more powerful than the sprouts.
Let me tell you, the broccoli, I've seen between 10 and 40 times better than your florets. The florets, the broccoli florets. So the microgreens are or even a sprout, just because you can sprout in a jar, you can sprout on anything. I mean, as long as you follow the sprouting, the basics, like soaking them, the seeds as long as they need to be soaked, and then you drain them and let them drain, but keep them moist, until they reach their peak wherever they need them. Some of them grow faster than others, but yeah. Whether it's sprouted or whether you do it in a microgreen way, it has so much more value. As I told you, I think sprouts and even microgreens, I think they're superior to the mature plant. But of course we're not going to stop eating mature plants. I'm not.
Excellent. Another question that just came in: what kind of water do you drink?
My water now, if you go on YouTube, I'm trying to see, is that on my website as well? I don't know. Look on YouTube and you'll see, I think it was entitled Why Annette would drink rainwater or something like that, whatever. But go on there and you'll see it. I do a whole thing on the water distiller. That's my water of choice. I don't tell other people because people are into, there's one, what they call it, alkaline water or whatever. My choice has been for, 50 years, whatever, the distilled water, because it's like the water that comes from the sky is distilled. Of course, nowadays we have to worry about maybe acid, whatever. But one time, one of the reporters said that I was drinking the water in these barrels, the rainwater, but she misunderstood. That was for the plants. I used that on the plants, but I have a water distiller, and that's what I drink, distilled water. That's my water of choice.
Awesome. A question for you, Annette. In terms of your eyesight, do you wear glasses? Do you find that your lifestyle help you to have a good vision?
Well, let me tell you, I can thread the eye of the tiniest needle, and no, I do not wear glasses.
Wow. That is awesome.
That is incredible, Annie. That is incredible. This is definitely, this has to do with your lifestyle.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You can thread a needle without wearing the glasses at 78 years old. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Sandy, make that 78 years young.
Young. Here we go. I love it.
Now listen, the reality is we know that chronologically I'm old, all right? But I don't accept it because you put two 78-year-olds side by side, one with a lifestyle that is conducive to healthy living, and the other one that with a lifestyle that's filled with crap and all that, no exercise, no positive thinking, no, eating properly and all of that stuff. And, there's a difference.
Excellent. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. 78 years young. You're absolutely right. And I just got a text from someone, and the person said, oh, my goodness, listening to you at 78 years old, I can tell you something. You are an example for the entire world, because you are truly an amazing example of how a healthy lifestyle can preserve you and keep you healthy and looking younger. And that's one of the benefits of exercise. It does delay the aging process, but as Annette said, you have to exercise. So to sum up what you said, said in this interview, variety of finding fountain of youth. I'm listening to what you're saying. Variety, you eat a variety amount of greens, and you eat at different times. You do not overeat. You exercise, and you have a positive outlook on life.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it. The mind it's so important to exercise, like I said, your mind, and I do different things. And people have to find their own ways, because everything's not for everybody. The same thing is not for everybody. But the power is within us. The Creator has given us the power. I say in the first booklet, Augmendino, I quote him, and he says that failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough. And I follow that with my philosophy. It says, that you first determine your goal, then you find out the necessary steps in order to achieve that goal, understanding there will be obstacles, but they are not insurmountable. If you have to crawl under them, climb over them, go around them, or hit them smack dab in the middle, the idea is to stay focused, and the eventuality is that you will achieve. And as I say that, I say it with clenched, balled my fist raised to the sky, because I know that it is true.
Awesome.
Wow,
Awesome.
wow. I'll say it again, Annette. You are an example for the world. Now I understand why people all over the world, they are fascinated with your lifestyle, and people all over the world have interviewed you about your lifestyle because you look incredible, you sound incredible, and it's just a pleasure to really talk to you because you have lived this lifestyle for so many years. And for all our listeners out there, please go and check out Annette's videos and look at the interview she did with Steve Harvey. It is incredible. It's on YouTube. So many television stations have interviewed Annette all over the world. And now with me and Louis having this interview with you today, I understand exactly why people are intrigued with you and your lifestyle. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, Annette, I would like you to tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can get your products, and a little bit about the book you wrote, Journey to Health.
Well, there are 3 books. The last one, The Journey to Health 3, that is downloadable only. The other 2 are both downloadable, and the first 2 are in soft covers, so people order those and they have to be shipped to them. But and then they can get them all together, the 3 all together, the Journey to Health book bundle. But that is on my website, and you will see all of the products that I offer, the videos and the DVDs. They along with the books on my site, which is Annette, my name, ANNETTE. LARKINS.com. That's AnnetteLarkins.com. So go there and, hey, just browse around and see what you can see, and go to the store and see what you want to see there. And, hey, I say enjoy. And, of course, my telephone number is there. If anybody has any questions, they can always call me. That is that's my contribution, because people want to come to visit, and I can't allow that because they want to come visit from all over the world. Well, not right now, of course, but but normally. And I tell them I can't handle that. But my contribution is I am the one that answers that line. When you call that number that you see, well, there's more than one number on there. But when you call that number, and it's listen, everybody has it, so it's 305-238-1169. That's 305-238-1169. When people call that number, or they can email me, at Annette, ANNETTE, at Annette, ANNETTELARKINS.com. So it's the website, it's the phone number, and it's the email. You've got everything you need. Hey, give me a buzz.
Wow, and I'm telling you, I'm lost for words. It truly has been a pleasure speaking to you. I'm so glad I got the opportunity. I've heard about you over 20 years now, and I thank you for taking the time to spend with us on CRR Network this evening. Thank you, and to all our listeners out there, thank you for logging on and listening. And thank you to all our listeners around the world, in Jamaica, in Nigeria, Germany, Bermuda, Canada, there in London. Thank you for logging on. Thank you, Annette. And this show will be repeated for all our listeners out there on Monday evening at 8 p.m. So if you want to listen to Annette again, log on to CRR Network Monday evening, 8 p.m. Thank you again, Annette. God bless.
My pleasure to you and to Louis. Have a good one and stay safe.
Thank you, Annette.
All embrace with love and understanding for the whole human race. We've got to be an example for the little ones
And if you have just listened to a live presentation of Eating Healthy with Sandi Morais, special guest this evening, Miss Annette Larkins, a very young 78-year-old lady. She was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you join us next week, Saturday at the same time from 5 until 6. Also, you have a replay on this program tomorrow, Monday, at 8 p.m. Coming up next is Caribbean Vibes, Diaspora Vibes, right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Keep it locked in, everybody, as we continue with more.